when it start to be recording, and I will start. Okay, so hi guys, this is Chris from Dora Hacks, and nice to see you guys today. Today's workshop is a bit different from previous. You can see there are a lot of speakers here, and today, so basically we have four speakers from four different projects, and they are. First, Troy from VoiceStreet.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, nice
Sorry.
to meet you.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
And Marc from Pod, and Steve Good from Dream Quest, and also Alpha from the Rift Protocol, and also last but not
least, everyone.
Yeah, nice to see you, Alpha, again. And last but not the least, Linyuan gonna be the host for this whole workshop, and he has come from Nova Club. Yeah, and I think we're good to go now. And Linyuan, you can start whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to Polygon-Grants Hackathon. This year, Polygon ecosystem grown rapidly and had amazing network impact. Today, we have four guests who specialized in different fields to share their product with us. This is Linyu Yang. I'm the host of the night. Before I give you the first presenter, let me introduce myself and Nova Club briefly. I'm Management Director of Defunct and Secretary General of Nova Club, which is the largest investment institution alliance of China. We have 30 institution members worldwide. Most of them are crypto funds exchanges. Recently, we were working on reshape investment within the alliance by launching Novi DAO, which is governed by programmatic rules and smart contract. If you want to connect with investor and crypto community of China, feel free to contact us. Okay, now let's give a warm welcome to Marc Jackson, the founder of Pod. Marc, please. Can you
hello
share
everyone
screen with us?
Yes, I will start sharing my screen right now. So hopefully you're seeing this in full screen. So I'm one of the co-founders of Pod. Pod is a very ambitious data layer project. And I'm going to talk about some of the high-level features. I'm also going to delve into a couple of use cases which are very pertinent to the current evolution of both kind of Web 3.0, but also the kind of second wave of the metaverse and its impact on the consumer kind of internet. But our mission as a data layer company is to basically fill gaps and missing pieces in the on-chain data collaboration infrastructure. So what this means is that the assets that are being created by decentralized services such as DeFi and now its corollary GameFi, which we're very excited about as a company and as a project, we're seeing those kinds of assets requiring more and more data services and data complements and ability to manipulate and describe the kinds of data that attach to these new assets. Obviously, this goes beyond the smart contracting environment of the base layer of Ethereum and other chains. So we feel that in order to get to a truly complete Web 3.0 and beyond that, the bigger metaverse, we're going to have these types of service layers. So at the same time, we might be seen as a data services company or big data company. We are also or project. We are also looking very much to fit into the new culture of decentralized assets, decentralized asset creation. So our first target markets, or what we believe is the kind of addressable types of activities or the obtainable markets are both, DeFi in terms of services, and then different types of financial assets that are either being created or being traded much more frequently. We obviously are seeing, huge growth in that area year on year. But the big kind of revelation of 2020 and 2021, especially 2021, is the explosion of non-fungible tokens and different types of projects around that. And specifically, we'll highlight how quickly the revenue path for Axie Infinity has grown, and the ability for players to make money in that arena. We also see, though, that our total addressable market over the next 5 to 10 years is really going to be the conversion of the old school data markets. Big data and database management services are all going to have to be dealing with the decentralized financial industries, the decentralized asset trading industries, and we believe that the market is barely at the very beginning. So the kinds of pain points that we are fully addressing is that with this, in the context of massive growth of consumer-facing internet type services, creation of artistic assets, creation of game-related assets, and then the services around financing that go with that, payment systems, et cetera, is that we're seeing a proliferation of new types of assets and more complex assets. And as that happens, it requires, adequate tools. And we really feel that there's that part of the decentralized ecosystem has not been built. And very specifically, what we're seeing is, a lack of standards for collaboration around, say, the creation of NFTs. Every protocol right now that's dealing with and allowing for the minting of NFTs does not have a standard for the way to describe, classes and other descriptors that get attached to those assets, and they don't translate well across various media, across the various protocols and other chains. So what we want to see in the future is a standardized metaverse of assets, and being able to, the metaverse is not going to be composed of one sole say 3D implementation of reality. It's going to be an amalgam and a combination of many. We also look at the proprietary storage issues, and we see that we're constantly confronted with the inability to kind of have social data have its life everywhere. So again, we're looking to solve that by creating an open, public, authenticated social data environment. Assets become isolated or kind of siloed in various protocols, and we're looking to solve that by bridging between protocols, very similar to the approach that Polygon is taking. And then just generally lack of addressable relationships between various types of data that describe assets. We want things to be universally addressable. Just very quickly, without getting too deeply into the technical side of things, what we want to be able to do is allow for the tagging and description of assets through our data layer, where we have both an on-chain database for the most critical assets required for collaboration and creation. But then we also have an application layer that allows us to tie in to maybe less or more referential data, less critical data that doesn't need to be on chain. And then, we want to allow for a proliferation of applications that are based directly on our protocol. And then finally, we have the ambition to help bridge specifically with our data layer, first starting with the Ethereum chain and across to some of the new emerging chains. So we're very lucky right now to have some, I will say we're announcing the pod project a bit earlier than we'd expected, because we had this opportunity with the Polygon Ecosystem Fund. So I forgot to say a very big thank you for inviting us. We have, though, been amassing some partnerships and forming relationships that we think are exemplary of the types of problems that we can solve. One of them is in the area of tracking and monitoring of treasury-oriented investment. So there's some very large decentralized projects that this project is facing, and we're able to allow for both, enhancing brokerage trust, but also helping to allow for perfected trust of on-chain data through that project. We're also working on 2 other NFT related projects, both on the creator side with Artists Union, which is somewhat similar to the YGG project. It's a DAO project that services kind of thousands of artists, and there we're assisting with a data-driven accounting system for artist contributions and participations. And then there's another NFT project with around a pet exchange, so NFT-based pets that we're really kicking off. But the one that we're the most that we think is the example of where we can really show the benefit of our approach for pod is with DHorizon. DHorizon is a recently announced, recently launched project that is in the play to earn space for GameFi, and they have created the concept of a metaverse human, which they're calling D-Meta Loot, which is part of the range of gaming elements that make up their ecosystem, and focusing specifically on the metaverse human loot efforts. The team at DHorizon has chosen our service and our methodology for allowing them to enhance their concept of the D-Meta Loot metaverse human. So I'll just drill down on that fairly quickly here. So DHorizon has many different elements, and I encourage you to go and take a look at their project, because I think it's very, very promising in the GameFi space. It's kind of a next level project. But what we're able to do for them is allow the easy creation of new classes of sub NFTs, I'll call them, or separate NFTs that can be combined into a single NFT. Their metaverse human is a class of NFT that is kind of comes generically undressed or doesn't have accessories. And the goal is to allow creators in their ecosystem, say clothing designers and creators and people that want to trade different items, to be able to bind and unbind quickly and make modifications for each user to their NFT by combining and binding, and then being able to unbind. And so this is a very novel feature that we think really exemplifies the power of what we can do. In terms of other solutions out there for this, managing classes and attributes that could attach to different types of assets, there are a number of different types of solutions. None of them are perfectly comparable, but we nonetheless wanted to show that our service, by being primarily on-chain for the most critical parts, can achieve some very high rates of efficiency and very high rates of low reduction of cost in operations compared to many of the other configurations, which would require multiple steps or multiple parties in order to achieve the same goal. So where we are in our roadmap, we are through our expertise, we've been watching the space for many years actually, but the initial core idea saying there's a big pain point to solve here. We're seeing the emergence of all these new decentralized assets, and especially with the NFT explosion this year. The work from 2020 through 2021 has been very pertinent. We're launching on the Ethereum chain first, and then the goal is to go to Polygon Binance and Solana chains fairly quickly. We then in early 2022, first half of 2022, we're looking to launch our complete tool set and expand our relationships with developers and the ecosystem. And then by the end of 2022, we'll be launching our data bridge. So in terms of the kinds of monetization options that we have for launching our project, even before we get to the launch of our data bridge, we see immediate opportunities in just the core markets that I mentioned before, and DeFi type assets that are being created, NFT explosion, especially GameFi and play to earn type projects. We see potentially a number of user accounts or wallets in the 16+ million. And if we were to take an approach of saying, 10% of those addresses are obtainable immediately, and then if we then assign a value of roughly $3 to $5 to the kind of value that's delivered through our service of tagging, so attaching a tag to each account, and then given the fact that the tags are reusable, they're kind of universal, or they can be bound and unbound, we expect that the types of users, especially in these core markets, will probably use they can use more than one tag in 1 year. And in fact, some of them will be turning as many as 7 to 10 times. So we believe that we could actually generate around $60 million in the first year, but we would prefer to have a situation where we can promote the rapid adoption by having a more of a freemium approach, or not immediately charging per tag. Then the other option that we're looking at for monetization is having a very robust staking opportunity for pod tokens. And if the staking opportunity goes the way we think, well, we'll have a number of avenues to approach for valuation and monetization. The primary one is that stakers could be, those who stake one pod could get one tag for use. So we're looking at both, and we're very think that things are very promising in that arena. Then in terms of like the economic model on governments, I'll just quickly go over. We're looking for multiple avenues, both for providing value to our stakeholders. We're really looking to have a very robust, I'll start at the bottom and say, the abilities for our community, our ecosystem to earn pod tokens is multiple. We see like kind of A level and B level type business participants who could be, everything from just part-time advisory roles and other, strategic partners. Going then ramping into our technical level, where development community members, and even on the creation side and creator side, we see even at a moderate level having multiple opportunities for those types of parties to earn pod tokens. But then we plan to have a deflationary model where, as we earn tokens for defining and issuing tags, that we would then have a DAO-based community governance plan, or DAO community governance plan, that would allow community participation to determine how to burn the tokens. So again, we're looking for creating value through a variety of mechanisms. Our token distribution plan is fairly straightforward. It's what we're seeing as kind of the standard. Though I will point out that we're really looking to allocate a large number for early supporters. That includes the creator community, that includes software development communities that can come up with novel ways to implement our core approach and technology. So who are we? I mean, this is a coming together of our initial core team has deep background in database management, database services, data services, and including interface with the financial community for asset management. We also have quite a bit of gaming experience in parts of our core team, and we plan to use all of that together, gaming and media experience, to really build what we believe could be an amazing solution. we've all experienced the kind of pain that we're seeing right now in the marketplace, and we know that it's holding back growth. So that's why we've created Pod. It's born to play in this world and really designed and built to expand this type of asset use. So I'm happy to connect with anybody and answer questions offline. I can be reached through WeChat, through LinkedIn. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'll try to be available at the end if we have time for any additional questions.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Marc, for sharing with us the amazing possibility of Pod, which provide a unique approach to data democracy.
Exactly.
Now, thank you. Now, let me introduce you Troy, the head of the global development of VoiceStreet. This summer, NFT has attracted significant attention, and we are almost fed up with those JPGs. Troy is going to tell us how NFT will impact the business model and operation of music industry. Troy, please.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Yang. So I'm not going to go into like very detailed or technical stuff in our project because I'm mainly responsible for the global development, but I'm going to kind of briefly walk you guys through a lot of like underlying and the underlying logic of how we are trying to make a modification, bringing NFTs and bringing DeFi into the music space. Okay, so I think there's a three kind of Q&A with you, Mr. Yang. So would you please start with the questions, or should I just go ahead and introduce my project?
Okay. So you want me to ask a question first? Okay.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay, no problem. So here are some brief questions for you. First of all, what is music? Sorry, what is VoiceStreet? And could you share with us what's the technical aspect of VoiceStreet that integrate music ownership into NFT and DeFi? Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Can you guys see the PowerPoint all right? So I'm just gonna dive into some of the like traditional kind of backfires and dilemmas that artists and the musician face in the traditional music market, and how VoiceStreet as a music NFT platform is going to solve that question. So first of all, let me introduce you guys to a context where, like, in the Web 1.0 space to a Web 2.0 space, as we can see from 2001 to 2020, it's an era for the internet booming. And it's an era for the digital music market. But however, we call this era a time for the online streaming platform, because they are the ones who have all the customers and they are the ones have all the customers and all the kind of end users to use to listen to music. So from 2001 to 2020, the streaming platform, their revenue share of the total music market revenue is more than 50%, as it's growing each year by each year. But we recognize that the problem with the individual artists and the individual musicians, they are not earning a lot. They don't have a lot kind of like monetization kind of way through internet, because all the publisher and all the streaming platform are taking all these market shares, and they're taking the kind of dominance power in the digital market, music market world, because individual musicians, they don't have a lot to say. So going to our logic of providing a kind of like a Web3 infrastructure for the original musicians and for the artists, is that we created a different kind of alternative way for musicians and for artists to release and publish their song. So in the traditional context of the digital music market, a song was usually made by producers, and it often splits into vocals, lyrics, and songs, and then that music ownership goes to the publisher, oftentimes the label companies, where if you guys know Sony, Warner's, they're all old label companies that controls that music ownership. Then the publisher would do the marketing and do the publishing stuff for the musicians. Then it'll go to the streaming platform, to the end users. So the problem with this original process, like the old rule by the digital music market, is that the end users oftentimes they're fans, or they're really into someone who are really into the music. They will buy they will subscribe to the streaming platform, and they'll do anything to support their idol, which is the producer and the IP. But in this process, the producers are only taking 12% to 15% of the total music revenue, and also they have to split into songs and the lyrics and people like that. Okay, so VoiceStreet, we created a way where the creator and the IP could directly launch their music ownership into onto our platform, where like they could raise money directly from the end users and from the publisher. So in this way, it's benefiting the end user, so that they could also be part into like the music ownership royalty system. And also for the publishers, we are mitigating their risk of buying out a whole song, buying out like a whole song by themselves. So everybody could raise money on our platform if they are a original musicians, and their fans and their supporters could directly go onto our platform, and we will create a music community, and we'll create a fan community for all those idols and all those artists that want to go with the method that we created for them. So I think the underlying kind of technical stuff is pretty simple, is that people would buy fractionalized music ownership on our platform, and they would stake that ownership into our staking pool. So that way, let's say if somebody releases like 1,000 pieces of music ownership, whoever bought the ownership and whoever staked that ownership into our staking pool, they will get generated revenue from a streaming platform. And that's what kind of our platform is for. So also to mention is that we have a kind of core, a very solid team behind music industry in Asia Pacific. We have already brought some really famous kind of big names to our platform. So I'm gonna pretty much introduce. So we already did a beta testing with a rapper called TY on Polygon, which brought about 200 and 300 active addresses to Polygon. So which we think if we did this on Ethereum, it would definitely stuck the network, and it would definitely not be like economic friendly. So also I think musicians and artists are a very strong arm of VoiceStreet because we have really kind of top resources in the music industry. We could bring those artists to our way of releasing our ownership, so that more people could realize that not only like traditional publishing companies, they can sign IPs or they could sign like artists to do publishing. They can also do it in like the kind of crypto or blockchain way, where like everybody could be in part into like a music publishing. So besides all kind of the ownership part, VoiceStreet has also a very strong arm into like NFT. We also created a profile picture kind of project, which also is the avatar in our music gaming. So what we want to do with this is to bring a kind of a large amount of communities that's not into music, but we are going to collab all our avatars with customized kind of Daffy Pandas with really famous big names. We already cooperated with Kevin Shin, who was like a producer for Post Malone, and he posted our Daffy Pandas in his Instagram, and he really loves our project. So what we will do is we will do customization with all the big names and the celebrities that we are going to collabing with. And in all, we just want to combine kind of like a crypto community into not only like combine crypto communities into like a kind of music gaming communities. So a lot of like mass users who doesn't like know how to use MetaMask could also participate into our platform. So yeah, I think we already reached partnership with Polygon, and we already closed we have just closed our seed round, and our beta testing with Polygon was really smooth. So I hope if in the future, if you guys could, if we have opportunities to work with Polygon and any of the projects that we are having podcasting with, feel free to send me a DM in WeChat and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. It was kind of like a wordy kind of presentation, but I hope you guys know our project, and maybe in the future we could cooperate, and I'll give back to Mr. Yang.
Okay, thank you. I think you have already answered my questions. And
Sure.
thank you for sharing us how VoiceStreet is going to redefine the social network and interaction of music, and also give us a broad overview of the plan. Okay, thank you. Now, let me introduce Steve Good, co-founder of DreamQuest. GameFi is one of the best applications within crypto, and play to earn have fundamentally affected the mechanism of the game industry. Steve, please.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi. Do you need to share the screen?
Yeah, was I able to do that okay? Is it sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. If it works, that's great. Yeah, great. Thank you very much for having me here. I really appreciate it. Did you want me just to jump in, or did you have any questions you wanted to ask us?
Sorry, 1 minute. I think the screen is also still try is using this screen. Try, can you quit the screen sharing first?
Well, there are two shared screens. You just need to switch.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, Steve. Now we can see your.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see your
Awesome.
video.
All right, cool. Did you want me to just jump in, or did you have any questions to kind of get us started?
I think you can probably go through first and
just jump in. Cool.
I'll ask
Okay, yeah, if you have
brief question later.
Sure.
Okay, cheers.
If you have any questions on the way, of course, you're welcome to. So yeah, so thank you everyone, and it's great to meet everyone here on the panel. So Dreams Quest, we've been over a year in the making. We started back last year in 2020 in around June, July timeframe. And we, at the time, before people were even saying play to earn as kind of like the active term, we were sort of talking about gaming and saying, what could we do that would be allowing people to earn money? We were talking about staking, and we were using all the DeFi terms, but we knew it wasn't working. And we just said, you know, there's got to be a way to do this so that people are actually playing to earn it. Of course, now the term play to earn is what everyone's saying. So we just weren't quite tapped into those terms, but actually turns out that's actually what, you know, what we're doing. And it's pretty exciting because what we're really doing is we're building a game where we're creating this sort of metaverse where we're imagining that all of us have kind of lived in this world of being in a dream world, where our real world is our dream world, and the world we live in is like the imagination. And actually the dreams world is our real world, so that we can create this metaverse and this experience where people can participate. And as you see, a lot of the imagery and the work that we've done, this is all of our own imagery that we've created over the last year with our designers. And this is the artwork that's going to effectively be infused into the game, because what we want to create is a truly remarkable in-game metaverse experience. The game itself, if I just go into a little bit about the game, the idea of the game is really a couple of things. One is that we've built the game very much focused around partnerships with Polygon and Chainlink, and I'll go into a little bit of that. But the game itself is a play-to-earn RPG game. What that means, of course, is that you can explore the realms that we've created throughout the metaverse. You'll be able to participate by going on quests, by participating in tournaments, going on events. And within that kind of 2.5D experience that we're building, we leave a lot of opportunities open for people to play as a single player, to play in a guild. So you form your own little faction or guild and you can play together. We have 2 different realms so that we create the kind of good and bad sides of everything. And there's a lot of opportunities within that for earning by playing to earn through the quests and through the participation in the tournaments that take place. But interestingly, if you think about any kind of a game where RPG is kind of the standard, you have things like a Diablo or Ultima 9 or a Warcraft, where you're exploring around. And there's always places where you can forge items, or you can create potions or spells, or you can go to a marketplace. So what we're doing to also create that sort of metaverse experience is that although we'll have a website where you can go to the marketplace and trade your items outside the metaverse, we're also enabling and building the metaverse experience so that you can forge items inside the game, you can upgrade items. Each of the items I described, whether it's your card characters or whether it's your items, and I'll get into that in a minute, but each of these items that you have, whether it's part of your inventory or the card characters that you have, they all can be upgraded, they can be created, forged. And that creates an interesting opportunity, because it means that players who want to play can play, players who want to set up marketplaces and just set up shop and become a wizard and sell spells or forge items and sell them could do that in game. So it's sort of like going up to a real person and talking to them about buying something from their shop, rather than in a game where it's always like a Diablo. You go to a marketplace and the person's always there because the game is always working. So in this instance, you may find that there are some marketplaces that have opening hours and shut hours, and a hot marketplace, the guy just might not be available certain times of the day, or it may be that they just allow the sales to take place without their physical presence. But we're trying to create different elements of how people can trade items in game. Now, I described the cards, so I'll describe the other half of the game, which is the battle side. So in order for a battle to take place in a game, it comes down to creating a deck of cards similar to Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone. So now we're kind of switching into a different mode or mindset. In this particular instance, when you're getting into a player versus player or player versus computer experience, you need to build a deck of cards, 15 card, 30 card deck, something like that. And that card deck is, it's a strategic deck you need to build that'll have cards that are characters, cards that are different inventory items that you've decided to use in gameplay. What makes the game a little bit different is that there's some interesting sort of dynamic battles, unpredictable situations that will occur in game. Now, what I mean by that is that typically, if you think of a game like Magic the Gathering, it's sort of the structure of it's stable, and both sides are playing against one another, and you can cast, various spells, for example, that will affect a card or affect gameplay in a certain way. But what we're doing is we're actually obfuscating data from using Chainlink weather data so that we can create an in-game experience where weather attributes could affect cards that are being used, like the character cards. The best example I can give of that would be if one of your cards that you put down happens to be a mud elemental, and mud elementals naturally like to be in wet climates. They like to be someplace that's colder, a little bit dark. And if you enter into game and you find that suddenly you're in a hot desert environment, well, the mud elemental probably won't perform very well. So strategically thinking, you need to make a deck that's going to account for a lot of possible conditions so that cards complement each other in ways that are not just about the cards and the races, but also it's going to be potentially about other things that are unknown factors going in because you don't know what weather conditions you'll face. But the other half of this is, so you've got the cards you're playing that are battle cards, but the other side of it is you're going to have spells and potions and other types of magic inventory cards that you can actually lay down and use in game. So what'll happen is that you may be confronted with a situation where you're saying, oh gosh, it's hot and it's bright, and this is not good for most of my cards. But then you can throw down a weather card, which could effectively dynamically change the board, and suddenly becomes a wet climate that suddenly gives your cards a little bit more advantage over your player, and your player, your opponent, could then throw down a spell that counters that spell. So it creates some really kind of unknown factors around gameplay. But the most important thing is that all of the cards themselves are stored on chain. Each NFT is its own unique card. And over time, the card attributes change. So the attributes are evolving, and we're storing all of that on chain all of the time so that you can see the card history, and the history will alter over time. So we're literally writing all of the attribute changes and the history of the cards as game progresses. So that just gives you kind of a broad brush, flavor or structure to what we're doing. Within the RPG side, just to go into a little bit more detail, but very quickly, there's a range of quests that we have going on. And each of these quests will, where's the quest slides? Sorry, I'll just scoot down here for a second. Where's my quests? I skipped over them. Yeah, so we've got a whole range of different quests: story quests, faction quests, player versus player quests. And each of these quests will allow you different ways to earn from gameplay. The interesting thing is that, it's not just about going on quests, but it's also about trying to earn a bit of money from the quests you participate in by being able to play with other players. Maybe you trade with other players. And what's interesting is if you actually get to the point where you go into battle, then your card deck itself, you may decide you want to rent the card deck to someone else. And that is an interesting thing we've been working on, where you may find that your deck itself, you could rent it to someone else. You could make a bit of income from that. And what we envision is that in some cases, you may rent it to other guild members, but more importantly, you might find that there's a gamer, a Twitcher, who decides that they want to play the game, and they might do something similar to what you find in Magic the Gathering, where famous players come in and say, hey, I want to play, rent me the deck. So rent me any deck, and they'll just rent decks off of players, and then those players get the kind of pride of seeing that famous player play. The difference is that if a player in our game rents their deck out to somebody like a Twitcher, for example, then the deck transfer will update the username on the card deck so that each of the cards will temporarily be written for each of the games that are played with that famous player's name on it. So what you'll have is that cards over time will show who the owners are. And for example, me as a gamer, my name is Dragon Lord, and people who look for Dragon Lord cards might go, oh yeah, this guy's a great player. I mean, or not, it depends. But you'll be able to see the different types of cards that were held by different players, who held them. And it may be that, you know, a card that's minted and never used could be valuable because it's in mint condition. A card that's been the same exact card but gone through multiple iterations of gameplay and becomes a level 10 card could be very valuable. And it could be that the card that's only level 5 but was held by some famous Twitcher could be valuable. So we leave that to the marketplace, we leave that to the users and the community to determine, but it all creates kind of that buzz and that feeling of how do you engage players around the game and make them, you know, feel like they're part of, you know, something. So that's just to give you guys kind of a flavor of what we've been doing. There's a lot of other quests and other events taking place. But yeah, that's just to give you kind of a flavor of what we've done. And I'll just kind of summarize by just saying where we are in terms of working with Polygon naturally, because when you talk about minting NFT and you talk about the prices of transactions in a game, naturally it's very important that we keep things low cost. So we've been working with Polygon for over a year and having a lot of discussions about how to build this. And this is just to give you an idea of some of our backers and our partners and people we've been working with. Yeah, so that's who we are. And yeah, we're really excited about what we're doing. And of course, if you missed season 1, there's always season 2, Rise of the Gnomes, which will be out in 2023. So yeah, I can stop there. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Here I thank you for the presentation. Here I have some brief question for you.
Sure.
The first question: what do you think is the most important thing for a play-to-earn game?
Oh, it's great. I'm glad you asked that. So actually, it's probably something I forgot to mention. The most important, there's probably 2 things I'll say that are most important. One is play to earn needs to start by being free to start. And that is how every traditional game in the gaming world starts. So I'll say that, first of all, building a game needs to be driven around traditional game mechanics. And on our team, we actually have a couple of people who are from the gaming industry who've never worked in blockchain. And because of that, we've learned a lot from that side of things. So we have to weave together tokenomic and token utility with in-game traditional mechanics. So one, make a game that has different types of resources, and the other is make sure it's a game that follows the proper mechanisms of game mechanics. But most importantly, when anybody starts the game, it should be free to play, free to start. Let them receive their first pack of or deck of cards immediately, which is like a common set of cards. Let them go on some tutorials. Let the tutorials be where they can earn coins, earn inventory, earn new cards, and let it be different for every person so that the outcomes are different for everyone, so that it creates already the opportunity for you to earn some things just through tutorial. And then from that point forwards, everybody's going to be, obviously roaming around in the RPG space or playing against other players. But yeah, that's one of the most important things, is making sure everybody can start and there are no boundaries or barriers to entry for all players.
Thank you. This thinking is straightforward enough. My second question is, can you share with us how to design the economic logics? What's the secret?
Daily calls, daily stand-ups. It's actually, it's a little bit tricky because, when you look at a typical game, usually you find that there's multiple resources. There's gold, wood, iron, that kind of thing. So what we know is that play to earn versus starting out for free have different mechanics. So when you're playing a game and you're starting out for free, then there's typically a number of other typical game resources. Like if you're going to go and do something to mine something, and I don't mean mining like as in mining a coin, but is in mining something within a game like a resource, then those resources usually have at some stage, they're worth something that you're able to turn them into gold, or to forge an item that then creates an item that then leads you to actually getting something of value. So in a way, some of the mechanics are a little tricky because we have to take the kind of game standards and apply them. But at the other side of it, we're doing some pretty cool things that are like staking a card. And if you stake the card, then it will automatically provide an enhancement value to the players in the guild. Whereas if it's unstaked, it'll allow the card to do things like vote on proposals, or create a certain spell that might give you battle benefits, or give you a portal to an event that's a specialized event just for your team. So the actual mechanics around how you earn isn't so hard. I mean, it's not easy, but relatively speaking, what's harder is trying to merge some of the traditional game mechanics together with the tokenomic mechanics. So we make sure that they calibrate just right so that everybody feels like they're still earning, or they not feels like, but they are earning from right from the beginning, but they feel like they can participate and do a lot of other things. So they're not disadvantaged from other players who have obviously been playing a lot longer and gotten better. But the in-game constructs around earning really come down to participating in quests. And if you join tournaments, and you might spend a little to join a tournament, but you know, it's an all-in tournament, and then whoever wins can take the prize. And of course, when you're playing in battles, if you win in a battle, or if your card does some, you know, if the combination of your cards does something, you could earn just from that combination that does something that's really remarkable, as long as the other player doesn't have a way to stop you. So there's lots of, you know, interesting ways that we're playing around with, continuously adding new ways to make a tokenomic model interesting. And naturally, the most important thing is it's not about play to earn as in reward, 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 earn tokens, go off, dump them on the market, because we know tokenomic wise that doesn't work for investors, doesn't work for traders. So naturally, there have to be a number of ways to spend coins in game through forging, upgrading items, creating new potions, creating new spells, renting cards earns you something, spending money in other ways within games. So we're creating a lot of different mechanisms to really engage the audience and to engage the community as much as we can.
Okay, thanks for your answer.
Thank you.
And the third question is, what kind of resource are you looking for?
You mean like people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or am I looking for resources inside the game? I'm looking for wood and iron and gold. Well, I mean, to be honest, yeah, I mean, the real types of resources we're looking for, I mean, because naturally building a game is complex. So we're looking for Unity developers. We're looking for 3D design artists. I mean, you can see some of the artwork behind me. This was designed by one of our 2D artists. So we're always looking for 2D artists who can design and create beautiful artwork that fits to the style, like you see on the slide I'm showing now. 2D, 3D, Unity developers, and just a combination of those three are probably the most essential resources that we need right now, ongoing, continuously building and adding to the team. We've already got a team of 16, but only a few of those are actually focused on the design and the game build, because we have to do other things like marketing and operational things and you know, tokenomic design work. So yeah, we have more work to do to continue hiring more game devs and designers, and it's hard to find really good people, as you can imagine, when you're looking for a certain style like this.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
One of the largest game company of China is LP of my fund. So let's talk later on. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Steve.
That would be great. Yeah, and if people want to check us out, I would say they can check us on dreams.quest, which is our website. And also DreamsQuest NFT is our Twitter account. And from there, our link to Discord is on both our website and Twitter. And Discord's where everything's happening. We're growing that community. We're shifting everything away from Telegram, which we've done a pretty good job of building, but actually, you know, everything's Discord. So, but yeah, I'd be happy to chat with you afterwards about that. That's really super. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That's great. The last